Now, turn to John chapter 6. I want to bring us to another revelation. And oh, how I wish I had have known this my own self years ago. John chapter 6 and verse 63. First of all, it is the Spirit that quickeneth. Yeah, I've always known that. It's the Spirit that quickeneth. See, we may have the Spirit in us, living in us. We've been Christian for so long and so many years, and church now just becomes a routine, but we use up all of our romantic energies and resources on the situations of life, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So when it comes time for us to come to church, we're just kind of empty and dry, and the Spirit can't quicken anymore because we're not in a place to receive that quickening. See, something's got to stir. The Spirit of God is to set in motion. It's to quicken His people. It's to quicken His body. It's to quicken His child. Can you say amen? The flesh profiteth nothing, and the words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. Now I want to talk about the prodigal son here just for a moment. You see, the prodigal son was all inspired. And we misplace inspiration. Let me go back to the power just for a second. When the prodigal son was at home, and he had all of Dad's resources at his availability, he had all the power he needed. He had all the power in the world, all the power in the universe. He had all the money he could ever want. He had all the things he could ever want. He had the protection of his family. He had the love of his mom and dad. He had the companionship of his brother. He had all the power. But then at some point in time, an inspiration welled up in him. Wednesday night we talked about knowing the difference. What's the difference between hearing the voice of God in us versus hearing the voice of our own imaginations? And the prodigal son began to listen to the voice of his own imagination. And he became inspired that if he left home, he could go find more power. And that began to inspire him. And he had a vision of more power. So he comes to his dad and says, Dad, just give me what belongs to me because I'm inspired. I believe I'm being sent. I believe I'm supposed to go out. I believe there's a greater out there and I can see it. And I've got a vision for it. And I've got an inspiration for it. And give me what belongs to me. And I'm going to go expound on it and make it even bigger and better than what it is right here with you.
Oh, yes.
You see, folks, there have been several times in my life, I don't have time to tell us these stories, where that I perceived inspiration of God's will for my life. And it wasn't. It wasn't God's will for my life. But I believed it. I believed it so much. You know why we believe it? Because it's powerful. It's emotional. It's sexy. And it's drawing. And it's big. And you can just feel it inside. It's so right. This is so right. And I'm inspired. But it wasn't the voice of God. It was the voice of my own imagination. Just as the prodigal son. Just a real quick story. You all know Tim Tebow. I was watching just a couple months ago, and he had just written a book, and he was talking to some sports writer. And when Tim Tebow was brought into the New England Patriots as a quarterback, he knew that was it. He knew, this is his own words, he knew that was it. That he was going to learn from the best, Tom Brady, and he was going to learn from him and become his protege. And then when Tom Brady retired, then he was going to take over and continue the championship pedigree, continue to go to Super Bowl after Super Bowl, and continue the championship in winning ways. And he was inspired. He knew that this was God's will for his life. And at the end of preseason, Coach called him into his office and said, "Tim, we're going to have to let you go." And in his own words, he became dazed. Literally dazed. I know that feeling. I've been dazed. You become dazed. And all of a sudden, that inspiration and that vision that was so powerful, and you just knew it was from God, wasn't from God. And that was the prodigal son. You see, folks, it's important for us to understand the difference between my imagination voice and the voice of the Holy Spirit. God doesn't lead us. He cares less about what we produce as much as what He cares about who we are. And I just wish, looking back on my life 30, 40, 50 years ago, well, not 50 years, that's too far. 40 years. I wish I'd have had a pastor that could teach me these things, so I could know the difference between the inspiration of my own imagination and the quickening of the Holy Spirit to simply reveal Jesus Christ in my life. Can you say amen? Amen. You see, folks, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. 2 Timothy chapter 3. Yeah, 2 Timothy chapter 3. And I close with this. You see, it's all about the power. The power what? The power to change, the power to overcome, the power to self-critique. You see, the prodigal son couldn't self-critique himself. Look at the world today. Look at all the people protesting. The other day it was on TV. These high school students were out protesting the president, and they weren't even sure what about. They were just joining the protest. Stop it, okay? They're outside doing that because they didn't want to take the calculus test. That's why. Okay, stop lying. You're all a bunch of liars. Okay, and they are. I've worked with them for years. They're all liars. First graders do not know how to tell the truth. They're all 6-year-old liars. Every one of them. They all say, "What are you out here protesting?" "Well, we're protesting the thing." And then they begin to ask questions and come to find out they have no clue about what it is. There's no judgment. It's lost. And they're crazier and crazier. They're unhinged. The power. The power of what? What's the power supposed to be manifest? That we put our faith not in the wisdom of man's words, but our faith is based on the power of God. That power is the work that changes in me. We talked this morning in Sunday school about witnessing and testifying. When you give your personal testimony, you're witnessing of the power of God, that what He does inside your life, what He does in our hearts and our minds and our souls, what He's done in my finances, what He's done in your finances, what He's done in our relationships. Power. My car has the ability to go down the road at a fairly quick pace. But if I hook up the boat to the car doesn't have the power to execute the requirement of that task. And you see, folks, the prodigal son lost the power. He lost the power when he left the power source.
Yeah.
The inspiration of his own imagination took him away from the power source. Dad was the power source. Jesus Christ is our power source. Stop trying to throw demons, cast demons out of our society, out of our community, and worry more about getting more of God inside me. Worry less about what devil's doing and what more Jesus Christ is doing in me.
Amen.
People, they get inspired to. They get inspired in activities. And that inspiration is not a quickening of the Holy Spirit. It's a powerful emotional state of our own imaginations that get us away from the power source. Hallelujah. You see, what does the devil fear the most, folks? He doesn't fear your tithing. He doesn't fear us eating breakfast together every Sunday morning. What does he fear? The devil fears your power. That's what he fears. He fears our power. Because we have the power to overcome. We have the power to discipline ourselves. God doesn't discipline you. God doesn't discipline me. I have to say no. I have to say no. I have to say to myself, I cannot have that. I cannot think that. I cannot do that. God doesn't tell me that. I have to do that. And I've got to dig down and find the power. The power. So I close with this. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5. In these last days, and Paul's given a list of these wicked people, and then he includes those people who have a form of godliness, but deny the power thereof. From such, turn away. That requires judgment. That requires a quickening of the Holy Spirit. I got to tell you something, folks. I've been offered in my past, I've been offered to go to different communities, different churches. And I knew and I know many of the personalities of those communities and of those churches. And I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want that. I don't want that burden. I don't want that task. I don't feel God calling me to that place. There is an agreement. There's no agreement. I don't sense a quickening. Does that make sense? As we leave this place this morning, knowing and understanding the difference between the voice of our imaginations and the quickening voice of the Holy Spirit that does those 5 jobs. And if the Holy Spirit is alive and working in you those 5 requirements, we'll save ourselves a lot of misery. So that when it comes Sunday, we've got energy to romance. Oh man, that's good preaching. I hope you caught that on tape. I hope somebody heard that on tape. Because that's awesome. That's awesome. Hallelujah. That's so awesome. Praise the name of the Lord.